Bitcoin got the dip that we've been looking for a few days overnight, at least overnight if you're on Eastern Standard Time like me last night. The question is, are people going to chicken out? Are they actually going to buy it after talking about it for so long? I think I know the answer. I think I know the answer because I know humans, but there's no person who knows humans and human emotion better than today's guest, which is Christopher Inks, my own mentor, the guy who taught me a lot of what I know about trading, charting, and certainly about how to approach the crypto market and markets in general. We tried on Wednesday and his internet died. So we're back again for another round today. I'm going to do a quick review of the news and I'm going to bring Chris on. We're going to talk about what we're looking at on all of the charts and why both of us, I confirmed it in advance, by the way, why both of us are still feeling bullish. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and find yourself a blue golf tee and drop it right on the like button. Actually, it didn't work. It won't push any of my buttons. I just dropped it on my keyboard twice. Didn't happen. So, guys, as I mentioned, we kind of got that price action we've been looking for. I think a lot of people were looking at a very obvious area around 45,500 as a likely place for a retrace and bounce. We'll look at the chart and show you why that seems so very likely and why we are sitting there right now. Hope all you guys are doing well, checking in. I see you guys over here in the comments. I actually learned from Chris how to say hi to everybody and ask you where you're checking in from and see what countries and cities and such. I learned a lot from this guy. Can't wait to bring him on in a little while. So, guys, the daily, as you see along the bottom there, my daily newsletter is now completely free. And today I announced that I added a brand new sponsor that's going to be on, hopefully, in theory, for an entire year, allowing me to continue to build, make it free, hire more people, do more things. That is BitGet. And their link is right down below, but you can read all about that in the newsletter. Now, first, I want to do a very, 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 very quick review of the news and then bring Chris on to talk about the charts. Also, at 10:15, right after this, I'm going on crypto banter. So we don't have a full hour today, even though, honestly, we usually only do 30, 45 minutes. Let me dig in really quick here because there's three pieces of government-related news that are definitely worth discussing here on this Friday. Here we go. The first one, proposed bill would require stablecoins to be backed by dollars, government securities. Stablecoin Transparency Act was introduced by Representative Trey Hollingsworth and Senator Bill Hagerty. We got guys in both houses of Congress proposing this bill. I think this is perfectly fine, to be quite frank, right? This would clear up any FUD that we've seen about stable coins and their backing, although to be quite honest, I don't think there is much concern and there never particularly has been. But this is basically saying that all backing of stable coins will have to be in actual US dollars or in securities backed by US dollars, aka bonds with a less than 12-month. So short bonds. We saw that Circle, which is USDC, used to say that they were completely backed by dollars. There was a bit of FUD about that they were only 67 or something % backed. They've already changed that. So if you're using USDC, it's already fully backed in the exact way that this bill would ask them to comply. So this is really about other stable coins and potentially Tether raising the bar a bit, but nothing particularly terrifying here. As usual, we get a whole ton of FUD and panic about every headline that has to do with the government, but this is actually perfectly fine and probably would protect consumers by making sure that your stablecoins are actually fully backed and there wouldn't be a bank run or doom if everybody tried to cash out at once. Of course, then we have this lady, Elizabeth Warren, everybody's favorite boomer. Okay, I'm trying to be nice. I try to be nice. You know, she's calling for the U.S. to create a central bank digital currency. You know, like, why not? Of course we need a central bank digital currency now. The world is going digital, says Elizabeth. She's finally decided to step into whatever century this is in. I can't even remember. I'm sure she can't. You know, like the 24th century. What is it now? But yeah, so here's what she had to say. This was on NBC. So a lot that banks do wrong. If you think we can improve that in a digital world. Sure you could. But in that case, let's do a central bank digital currency. Yes, I think it's time for us to move in that direction. Welcome to the party. It's only a few countries in the world already using them, everything moving that, admitting that we're going to have a transition to a digital world. Yeah, no, obviously. obviously. But what's interesting here is that she's been so opposed to Bitcoin and everything crypto related. The reason is obviously because she wants to be controlled by the government, right? Nobody wants, nobody on that side, I should say, or standing with Elizabeth Warren wants for us to have control of our own assets. They want the government to have control. A central bank digital currency, as I've talked about many times, without any privacy protections in place, is a wet dream for the central bank and for the government, right? They'll be able to, you want stimulus, drop it in your wallet. They want your taxes, take it out of your wallet. They want to know exactly what you're doing with every penny. It's on a public blockchain that would be controlled, well, private blockchain controlled by the government, right? And then she obviously went on to say that everything's in a bubble. We're all dead. We're all going to be poor, and life is going to end. I don't know, but asteroid, right? Whatever fear and panic is coming, we once again get from Elizabeth Warren. And finally, this is pretty bad news. EU Parliament passes privacy-busting crypto rules despite industry criticism. We've talked about this quite a bit. Somewhat akin to what we were seeing with the infrastructure bill last year, frankly, but worse. I mean, I'm confident that there'll be enough uproar that maybe this will get changed. But this is that idea that we were talking about where basically any transaction over $1,000 that's made in crypto, you would have to KYC the recipient. That's not only for exchanges, but for individuals as well. Holy wow. Can you imagine? I said this in the newsletter this morning, but let's imagine that Christopher Inks and I go to a really fancy dinner, maybe go hit the Super Bowl, something really expensive, right? Let's say the whole thing costs $3,000. So I front it. Chris needs to pay me $1,500. He sends me a Venmo. Imagine if to pay me for that, Chris needed to collect my ID, social security number, everything about me personally, not only collect it, but then submit it somehow to the relevant authority. That's what we're talking about here, and only because it's crypto. So imagine now an exchange has to collect information on the receiving end, not the sender, right? If you're I can understand if I'm using Coinbase, I'm their client, that they gather KYC AML information on me as their customer. But to then require them and myself to do the exact same for the person you're sending the money to, no matter who they are, where they are, or what platform they're using, is patently absurd. This is massively destructive potentially for the industry, but I have to believe, like I said, that maybe they will change it. That's all the big news that I've got. And now for the moment you guys have all been waiting for. And it ain't me. It's to bring Chris on. Now I'm going to do this one. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Every time I hear that Texas accent, it gets me excited, man. Anytime I get a chance to talk to you. Chris and I have not talked. We keep in touch, but it's been quite a while since we have an opportunity. This should be something we do all the time. I don't even understand.
Right.
But I said you're the busiest guy in crypto. You said I'm the busiest guy in crypto. But I'd say we're both very busy.
We definitely don't sleep.
No, sleep, not a thing, especially when your internet goes out like it did for you on Wednesday.
Oh, geez,
so
man.
Just give people a bit of background, right? Just to give the really quick and dirty, even though I've told this story many times. Like most of you who are probably here trying to listen to me, I was just a guy in 2016, 2017 who had been a crappy trader for years in other markets, right? And I heard about crypto and I went to Twitter and followed a bunch of trash accounts who gave me terrible advice, right? And I found this diamond in the rough, which was Chris, right? And I reached out to him and I said, man, you're like the only person out here doing good information. Do you have a group? And he had a Trello group. It was literally like cards that you used to post on Trello. Remember that? With like trade ideas and setups. And so like I basically harassed Chris to the point where he couldn't ignore me anymore, like I guess like shoot a shot. And I would just every day asking him questions and bothering him and say, yeah, what does this mean? What is this pattern? Blah, blah, blah. And through that time, and then when he started live streams in his Discord, which, I kind of like pushed him very hard. It was not something he really wanted to do, but I pushed him really hard. I said,
yeah, you did.
There's so much bad information. We need good information, please.
Yeah.
And to start doing live streams and sharing the Bitcoin, his Bitcoin analysis live. And that's where I learned most of what I learned. Most importantly, not even just how to chart and stuff. I mean, I had a superficial understanding, but just how not to be a spaz, right? I was such a spaz when you met me. I was.
I don't know, man. I think it's just, it's what it always is. The difference between you and what ends up being with most traders is that you asked questions and you didn't stop. And that was the important thing, and then even when I gave you answers that you didn't necessarily want to hear, you still said, okay, I'm going to listen to that anyway. And I'm still going to, give it some thought. I don't know, man. Most traders, when they come in, it's just that they have a certain mindset, and we all pretty much have the same mindset when we start. And it doesn't do us any good.
No, it doesn't. I've shared this so many times. One of the best pieces of advice you ever gave me that maybe changed my mentality towards trading was when you said, I think you said for a month, which was really hard. You said for 1 month, and this was like crypto was going nuts. It was like a permanent alt season. You said, when your trade is up 3%, close it. Take profit at 3%. 3%, right? In a market where you're seeing 300% pumps on like a daily basis at that time, you said sell everything at 3%, because if you do that for a month, you'll learn how to sell, how to take profit, and you'll see how much money you actually make compounding those small gains.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody thinks that the key to being a successful trader is, you got to buy the absolute lowest price, you got to sell the absolute highest price. But at the end of the day, it's really just consistently taking profits. Time and compounding does the rest. That's the secret sauce there, other than obviously risk management.
Yeah. And at the time, like, there was no such thing as a USDT pair, right? We were only trading against Sats, Bitcoin pairs. And you made the point over and over again to all of us that were following you was you've been trading markets forever, right? You trade Forex, you go back into dollar, whatever. But this was the rare moment where you could trade to gain an asset that was also rising. It was that's where that first time everybody signed on back then. Now it's different. People, they're new traders. They understand they trade a dollar pair. Maybe they don't understand that they're losing Bitcoin when they think they're doing well. But back then you literally denominated your account in Bitcoin. So you could see you were taking those losses, even if you were up in dollars or even. But you're the one who really, really drilled into me the fact that all I needed to do was make slightly more Bitcoin each time, because Bitcoin was going to go up.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, man. I'd never seen it in the 20, whatever it's been now, 25, guys, what is it, 25, 28 years, guys? I don't know, whatever it's been that I've been doing this. So it was pretty crazy. It was a great thing for sure.
Okay. So that brings us to now, right? Back then, Bitcoin, I remember it was like $2,000. Right. We were like kind of between 1,500, 3,000. It was early 2017. Right.
Yep.
So I guess you're proven right. Those that getting Bitcoin, but you've had you're a trader, I think, first, right? In Bitcoin. Yeah. I've maybe been a little more orange pilled than you, and kind of have that hold some of it forever mentality.
Right.
But as a trader, you're once again bullish here, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this has been good. We had a few things. We've been in this range since summer of last year. And I'm
going to pull up your chart, by the way. Just so you don't have to talk about this chart yet. I'm just going to pull it up so we have it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is more the close up here, the 4-hour chart. But, we've been in this large consolidation since last summer. And, when we got down to the bottoms, everybody was saying, oh, we've got to drop down, 20. I think we were at like 28,000. They were saying, oh, no,
we're going to 10. Yeah, we're going to 10. Right,
yeah, exactly. And locally, we kind of took a look at it, said, nah, using Wyckoff, said it looks like it's accumulation down at the bottom of the range. Sure enough, it went up. And then we had a couple of ideas of what the range could actually be. And then, I guess probably just a few months back here, we really kind of came to this idea that's really a large triangle. It's a large wave 4 triangle. So, it's nearing completion. So we should have some good upside coming up before too long.
Right. So I know we kind of talked privately over the last few days, as we do, and you got long, right? And so you got long. And so can you just maybe just walk us through an actual trade for you here on what you're looking at and why you're doing it?
Yeah. So right now I went long. I don't remember exactly where it's right around 40, probably about 44,400 and some change, 44,300 some change. It was right down here in the bottom. We kind of zoom in a bit.
This is your most immediate trade, but you've kind of been long. I know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I got long right about in this area right here around this S1 pivot on the 15-minute. And so I'm sitting in long with that. The idea is to either ride that all the way up here toward this 52,000 area, or maybe grab one of the pullbacks on the way and then reload and run it a bit further there. I've got that one that I've got on the other exchange. Gosh, where did I buy that one, man? I'll talk to you about that. That was the one you were talking about. I got it just a little bit lower than you. I've still got that one going as well. It was somewhere.
I
down.
don't. It was like 35, I think. I came in at like 36.1 and you were like 35.9 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right down around this area somewhere. Yeah. So, and so that's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment here. So I had a good run here just recently. Had a nice trade that closed out up in this consolidation here. So that ended up being pretty good. By the way, in case anybody's wondering why this might have turned around right here, if we jump over to the daily real quick, and we check out these pivots here. Let's see here. Look at the historical pivots. You can see it hit. This was the R1 pivot up here. And if anybody follows me on my, my weekly kind of YouTube things I do, we'd been talking about, when we were jumping around right down here at this daily pivot. Let me see right here. There we go. We were talking about every time, talk about this area here and how the target is really kind of this R1 pivot. And then we kind of tried to, subdivide it on the way up. So, I mean, it didn't do anything. It hasn't done anything that you shouldn't expect. If you trade pivots, this was the perfect setup to go long here. There's your immediate target. And then you're pulling back and really all you're doing is finding support right above the daily pivot again. So really there shouldn't be, it's nothing going on here that's surprising, even though this is a bigger drop and people tend to get scared. Really, in every way we look at it, it's doing just what we would expect. Elliott wave, otherwise, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I'm going to just throw my chart up here really quick. I mean, I'm not particularly an MA guy, but that pivot exactly the 200 MA on the daily as well.
Oh, yeah, nice.
You take a look right there. I mean, it's literally exactly it. And I mean, I drew this out days ago. I think this seemed to be one of those consensus trades that made me nervous because it's so consensus that everyone was like, now that we've broken 45.5, right, we're coming back down to test it. Right.
Yeah.
But right now, it penetrated a bit deeper than that, but this is still basically what I'm looking for. And you have the same, I'm going to bring yours back up. You have the same areas sort of pegged as me mentally, right? I've had sort of 39, 6, 42. I don't know what you have below 45, 5, this area. And then it's basically 52, 53. Yeah. I would expect us to get squarely rejected there for like a nice 15, 20% drop and then a push.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. And if we look at it in terms of Elliott wave, anybody that follows me knows that, I look at Elliott wave and I look at Wyckoff. Basically this is wave D of the large triangle, that large triangle I was talking about from summer. I've got a longer term chart we'll look at in a minute here, but, and so triangles are just 3-wave correction moves. And so this one's a W, X is a triangle here, and we're working on an ABC for a Y. And so this area that we're kind of talking about up here, I think becomes basically wave A of Y. So you get wave A, you get a pullback for wave B, and then you'll have wave C finishing up there, barreling on toward, 60 or 65 or something like that.
Yeah. It's, man, I would love to see 60, 65 again and put an end to all this nonsense. So
many people.
So what's interesting is like now, you've actually, so I remember over the last 5 years, you like me and me, maybe as a result, you've kind of utilized every strategy at some point. A lot of that was because you were teaching, right? And so as an educator, you started sort of classical patterns, right? It was triangles and ascending triangles and wedges and descending, broadening wedges. We've obviously moved through support, resistance, supply, demand, OBV, RSI, all of them. You largely taught me about divergences, which is the one thing that I've pretty much stuck with.
Yeah.
But you've moved on to really sticking heavily with Wyckoff and Elliott wave. Is there a reason that those have just been the ones that have sort of lasted for you? I personally have always tried Elliott wave, and then I always find that, wow, I had a really good idea in the past, but can't predict where it's going. It just never worked for me.
Well, they're two of the more difficult things for traders to kind of wrap their heads around at first. Price action volume analysis is very nuanced. And so you'll get a lot of people, one thing that I haven't heard a lot of, thankfully, but we used to hear a lot of was, hey, how's it going to go up? There's no volume, and that's a complete misunderstanding of what's going on and how to read it. And most people, they really, especially if you're a new trader, they don't have the gumption to kind of sit through and really practice. It's, trading is like anything else. If you want to learn how to play to play the keyboard or guitar or the drums real well, you got to practice. You want to learn to be a DJ? Well, you got to have some kind of talent in there as well. But you got to practice though. You've got to learn what works, what doesn't, how to do it properly to get the result that you're looking for. And it's no different. And so with Elliott Wave, again, it's the same kind of thing. The one thing I hear from most people is Elliott Wave's really subjective. Not if you do it correctly. The better way to say it is you're a human being. You can't possibly know every decision, the outcome of every decision, and the outcome of every decision's decision. So you don't know that decision tree. We can only process so much. So people that first come into Elliott Wave, they try to look at it as this thing that's going to tell them exactly where price is going to go. And really, the better use of Elliott Wave is to understand trends. What is the trend? Is it nearing an end? Is it going to be reversed? That's the absolute best way to do it.
And you've always talked about the fact that, well, first of all, you just touched on volume. One of the greatest lessons you taught me was that volume comes in when you need it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
just because it's not there yet doesn't mean it's not coming,
Right.
being one. And B, just the idea of trading with the trend, which is, sort of like don't fight the trend. And so
Exactly.
all strategies are sort of just a way to determine which way the trend is going.
Yeah.
And to that end, to just trade within it and not try to find the bottom and top of it. Although
That's
you're very good at doing that.
It's hard learned lessons. First 5 years of my trading, basically 4 or 5 years, I've just fed money to it. And I had to decide one day to finally wake up and go, wait a minute, I need
That's
to
your
actually
paid
learn what I'm
education that we all do. That's everybody's coping, right? It's like I would have paid more for a college course on it, so it's
right,
fine.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, one of the biggest things we can tell traders, especially if you're new and coming in, is just trade in the direction of the trend, the larger trend. If you think you want to trade the 1 hour time frame, look at the 4 hour and the 12 hour and the 1 hour trends. Look at that larger trend. Only, if that trend's up, only buy the pullbacks. Don't try and do the counter trends. Corrections can be messy. Most people can figure out which way the trend is, and they do, and they get in there, and then they lose all their money and more in those corrections because they just end up, they think it's going to be one thing, and then it ends up being something else, or something else, or something else again, as the possibility was in here. And, there's no reason to do that. Most people have the capability to trade and to do well, but they kind of sabotage themselves.
Yeah, so everybody's over here in the they're all calling you a Jedi, but in the comments asking where they can follow you. So he's TexasWest Capital on Twitter, but Chris has a group. Well, I will put it in the description later. I think we just kind of forgot to do it, but just type in TexasWest Capital. You can follow him. What's the best place? I mean, we're going to keep going, but what is the best place to just find it all from your Twitter?
Yeah. I mean, you follow me on Twitter. That's where I do. We've got a couple other social media presences, but Twitter is where I do most of it when I do. I'm not a big social media person. I definitely can't keep up with you. But when I do post, usually it's because they're things that I believe that really are important. I tend to concentrate a lot on the macro stuff as well. So yeah.
Guys, Chris. So like, I know everybody has their like paid group stigma, whatever. Chris's group is so good that when it started, for years, even as I grew 200,000, 300,000 Twitter followers, I was the admin on Chris's Discord.
Yeah, up until recently. Yeah.
I was the guy answering questions privately about subscriptions and stuff. That's how much I believe in what he's teaching and the way that he does it and how much I've learned for it. So, I mean, if that gives you guys any insight, like you can tell somebody about something all the time, but when you're part of it, it's very, very different. So I want to ask, are there any altcoins that you're looking at right now?
Man, I think honestly,
I don't want you to give up all the alpha or anything, but
just broadly speaking, I mean, I think we're just in a good situation all the way around. I've got a few over here that we can kind of take a look at. Some of the ones that people have been interested in over not too far the past there. This right here is SHIB. Everybody's real hyped about that, and you'll remember back up here they were talking about $1.
I have a oven mitt. I have a SHIB oven mitt randomly, so it's
nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we've got some ascending accumulation here going on, and I think we're right now we just pulled back to the pivot here on the daily, so I think that's a good signal that we might head up further off of that. If it were to break down, you look at that support and then the S1 pivot, but I think overall it's headed up here toward this kind of whatever that is 00005038 kind of area. And then that's just, looking at
so
this.
Many zeros.
What was that? Too many zeros?
So many zeros. It's so funny trading these things.
And then, potentially this larger wave 3 up here, about 3 times that up there at 15,239 with that. So, I think there's, still some good possibility out there with it. And you'll remember, man, 2017, man, again, you were with me doing all this stuff there, and we kind of really developed a good rapport. We were talking a lot, and man, it was crazy times coming into November and December. And I think, again, I don't see any reason why Bitcoin shouldn't act any differently this time. So I think we get another sharper wave 5 eventually, where the altcoins end up outperforming at the end, right? And so if you'll remember, Bitcoin topped out in December of 2017, and then altcoins topped out the next month.
Right. Ethereum didn't top out till January. They absolutely ran like mad. Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why this should be any different. I think, we'll get Bitcoin, it'll top out, and then people cycle into altcoins and they'll finish out, after that. And so, your counts on a lot of altcoins are going to be a little bit behind Bitcoin, I think, to give you that extra move up, I think, for that.
It's really, really interesting to me, which I kind of pointed out today. So charting Bitcoin dominance is whatever. Obviously, there's nobody trading it. But so ignore it. I'll just go ahead and delete this. Let's just look at it mentally. But what I find really interesting here on the daily, Bitcoin dominance has been dropping this whole month effectively. And that's with Bitcoin both going up, right? So usually, Bitcoin goes up and dominance goes up with it because people FOMO out of their alts. But the last few days, we had a big move up in Bitcoin, dominance dropped. Then we had a big move down in Bitcoin and dominance dropped. So altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin up and down, which we very rarely see. And I think the time you're talking about was one of the few times that we saw that, right? Where there's actually legitimate interest. I think people are just very risk on with crypto right now.
Yeah, they are. And I think that scares people because when they listen to me, I talk about, the broader economic issues and, the broader legacy market counts and whatnot. And they seem to, at the moment, they seem to contradict what's going on with Bitcoin. But, I think at the end of the day, what you need to realize, or what people need to realize, is just that a cryptocurrency is also a risk on, market, but it doesn't run tandem with legacy markets. Sometimes they'll do the same thing together, but it's not because of one or the other. It's because just of the general market's ideas of risk on and risk off. And so because Bitcoin and crypto have always produced these really great returns, there's more interest. It's going to take, I think, a bit more convincing to get people to get out of it, so like a larger term bear market than what it would with legacy. So, when people ask, well, how can legacy be topped out potentially now and Bitcoin still go up? Well, because Bitcoin's got that one more. How can alts continue to go up after Bitcoin tops out? Same idea.
Well, that's where people sort of get confused by the idea that alts will do well when Bitcoin's sideways. But the reality is alts do well when Bitcoin's sideways on a move up.
Yeah.
Right. Like when Bitcoin dumps and then goes sideways, people are expecting another dump. They're not rushing into altcoins. So it's not like it's not so binary. Right. So I see you're pulling up some more things. What else you got?
Yeah. So I've got Doge, again, Doge, one of those ones. Gosh, man, I remember some of the really
introduced me to Doge. I made more money on that thing trading with you than any other asset in my life. You taught me the Doge cycle, 15 to 25 sats to 180, sell, repeat again. I'm sorry to interrupt. I will literally never forget the Trello card that you posted for Doge, which said, do you like making money? This is how you make money. And you showed the Doge cycle. I'll never forget it. It became my favorite asset. Sorry.
Oh, man, it was
just crazy remembering all of this.
Trade. Man, it was such an easy trade. And, and those kind of things, as are just the things I love to share with people that are, hanging out with me and figure out, because at the end of the day, the goal is to help people learn. But and then some people say, well, if you're teaching everybody, then how are you going to make money? Isn't things going to change? No, because most people won't listen anyway.
Yeah, right.
So what are we looking at here? Well, this is again Doge here. Everybody, like I said, it got up there toward almost $1 got up there, and then I saw these terrible TikTok fin videos. They were getting like 300,000, 500,000 views saying that Doge was going up to $100, and I think there was somebody there said, hey, here's my case for why it's going to $1,000. And I went, man, that's so awful. But with this one right here, it looks like we've got a wave for a pullback to that pivot. And so for anybody listening, here's some free stuff, guys. Listen, when you're trading pivots, if you've got this movement up where it's wave 3, it comes in between the R1 and the pivot as a wave 3. Wave 4 is going to hit the pivot. Wave 5 usually ends right around that R1 pivot. And then that larger wave 2 will pull back to the pivot area and then break off. So in this case, that's kind of what we're looking for. The other big thing is if you've got real resistance, real major descending channel resistance or something like this long term, you should expect that it's going to be wave 3 that's going to break through. So usually you get your wave 1 up to the top, wave 2 on the pullback, wave 3 is the breakout. So with this right here, if we can get this rally off here, which it looks like, ABC down, we're looking up here up to potentially 16.59, 16 and a half cents basically. And then 5 waves up here, at least around 25 and a half cents, and continuing up. We've got a pattern target actually up here at around, well, it'll be basically about 44 cents from the point of breakout, 44 cents above that. So
Awesome.
Good setup.
Someone's over here asking about the Doge cycle. It's like you can't even look at it on a chart anymore because how hard it broke. But I just want because it minimized it. But I'm like pulling up a chart for whoever asked here. 1 second. The Doge cycle doesn't exist anymore, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Right. So once it did the Elon Musk thing, it's over. But this was the Doge cycle that Chris had all of us trading forever, right? Basically, this is against Bitcoin. So you had this sort of zone here, 15 to 24 sats, right?
Yeah.
Pump, down, pump, that's 120 down, right? And eventually it always came back down to this area and pumped again. And we just did it
again. It just did
over and over and over again. And it was a fun meme that the whole crypto community knew you could do it, right?
Oh yeah, man.
So listen, we got 5 more minutes before I have to jump. So what else you got? Anything else?
I guess let me look here real quick here. I just want to show everybody my long-term chart here in case you're wondering what's going to go on with Bitcoin. This is the weekly chart here.
Here we go.
Yeah, there's the weekly chart, BLX. So coming down from the beginning up here, I believe we're working on that 5th wave. And again, people may not like this because, again, I'm talking about the longer term, larger economic cycle, potentially a depression-esque 1930s type thing going on. And so it would make a lot of sense for Bitcoin to kind of top out up in here and then have that large bear market. Now, the other possibility is maybe, this is wave 1 of 3, wave 1, 2, and 3 here, and 4 of 3 rather than wave 3. But we would need to see it, prove that. Right now, big triangle, getting ready to come off. You can see that we've got this hidden bullish divergence on the weekly RSI. We've got this other way here. Same thing here. We've got the hidden bullish divergence on the MACD. Yeah. We've got the cross on the weekly here coming, bullish cross. So, again, people are still talking about lower. I don't think so. I think we pull back, we break out above the weekly pivot. We come back to the weekly pivot, and that finishes off wave 4, and then we're off to the races. Probably, it's target wise, maybe it's 95, 100,000, but I think we get more than that because Bitcoin always.
Because it's Bitcoin. Yeah. But then I think reminder. So in the last sort of move to 69, not you, but a lot of us got caught up in it. Certainly. The super cycle and the never bear market again and whatever bullshit, right? I mean, every market will have its bear markets. And if we think that, hey, the target's 100 and it shoots to 2, then you should expect that your bear market that you think is pulling back to 160 goes to like 80.
Right. Exactly.
And just crushes people.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think I've seen we've got a lot here. I don't see anything awful in the chart. The price action volume looks good. Looks like accumulation in there, which makes sense with the triangle. I just don't see any reason to be overly upset about thinking it's going to drop on down at this point right now.
I think MACD also just crossed bullish on the weekly for the first time. And I think MACD crossed bullish there on the weekly. Yeah, I see. You have it circled. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything kind of looks good. And what's actually interesting to me is that, I learned kind of from you watching 4-hour RSI was always sort of like the signal for Bitcoin tops to bottoms. Yeah. I mean, last time we hit oversold, I'm trying to look here. Let me pull up my chart. Last time we had oversold RSI on the 4-hour, we were down at like 38. And that actually, this is a line chart. So it went down to like 35 or something like that. Mm-hmm. We're now oversold again and we're up at 45.
Yep.
Right. I mean, so we went all the way to overbought. There was a bear div on the 6-hour and on the 4. And quickly, this move, which is did not seem that bad, got us all the way from 85 RSI down to oversold at 29.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that just shows that there's a lot of relative strength here.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I still see people out there arguing that, that Bitcoin's going to fall further. I don't think so. I think we're good. We just need to get above 45,876.5. That's your first clue. It's probably done. we get above that wave B triangle resistance at 47,624 here on Coinbase, and we're off to the races then. So yeah.
Awesome. So listen, unfortunately, I got to go. Chris, can we do this often? People,
Yeah,
I see that everybody over here loves it. I know Chris was on my podcast in the early days. And like I said, he's just the busiest guy. Like, you probably are live streaming today, right?
Yeah, here in about 2 hours. Yep.
Yeah. So guys, he does this. He does it better than me. I watch. I would say that I've probably seen 87% of your live streams. If I had to throw a number on it. Sometimes I go on vacation. I'm sorry. But this is you guys are watching me. I'm watching him, just to be very clear. So let me pull the charts off here. I wish I didn't have to go, but I'm going on crypto banter in about 7 minutes. And I got to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. So guys, everybody, please, TexasWest Capital on Twitter. You can find everything else that he's doing linked from there, and check out his Twitch, YouTube live streams. It's gold. It's gold. And listen, Chris, I have to say, he and I don't always agree on the chart. We've often had very, very different views, but I think we agree on the way we approach it and the way that we think about the market. So none of us you should be following to tell you if price is going to go up or down.
Yep.
You should just learn how to look at it yourself and make a decision. That's literally all you should do. You shouldn't be jumping into trades because anyone said so. Don't just go buy SHIB and Doge right now because
right.
Just don't do it. Right. Don't. That's all I got. So Chris, man, thank you so much for taking the time. We'll do this more regularly, maybe a couple times a month if I can get you on here. All right, man. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Care,
guys, what a legend, Christopher Inks. Telling you, we all have the person that we look up to and who teaches us, and he's the one. So I'm going to be on banter in about 5 minutes. I have to go do a couple things before that happens. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Things, I think, agree with him. I agree with him. I think they're looking very good, and I think we just saw a very rational, orderly dip that was probably just a nice little liquidity grab to get people panicked. So I'm feeling pretty good going into the weekend. Let me turn this bannery thing off. Thank you, guys. I will see you all on Monday. Peace.
That's dope.
Oh, I didn't end the broadcast.